Hi guys, and welcome to this week's Free-to-Play Friday. This week's game is Path of Exile, which is an action RPG which is played online. It's one that I've picked up maybe about a month ago, and I've played through a couple of characters to see how they feel. I have myself a witch character and a Templar, both of which have got kind of magic based elements to their attack. So for this playthrough, for this little session, I'm going to go with a duelist character.
He had it coming. Was I supposed to bear such insults with inaction? Simply because of his high birth? If that lord sang a different tune with 6 inches of steel in his guts. Now they call me a criminal for defending my honor. I'd do the same again to anyone who crossed me. I care naught for riches, little for friendship. The duel is all I need.
Love the duel.
I may be in exile, but I will carve a road back to Orith, one foe, one victory at a time. Ill fortune may have banished me to Ray class, but I will live to hear them scream my name in the great arenas again.
There we go. So that's a little bit of background on the duelist. So this guy, as his name kind of sounds, is all about the kind of the swords, the daggers, the sort of, you know, melee combat. Rather than magic based things, so it's kind of a switch on the characters that I've played so far. So it's going to be a challenge for me, well, not a challenge, but you know, it's going to be interesting for me to start with, and it's see where he goes. So let's get into it. So as we go through the game, I'll talk to you about some of the different aspects that are in it. The game is structured off across multiple acts where you take on various little quests, which eventually build up to the overall quest for that act, in which you kind of defeat the big boss of that level. You then move on to the next area, the next zone, and you start doing some new quests. So here we go. We've started off stranded. Well, what appears to be stranded, washed up on shore. Let's get going. Pick ourselves up a sword, always useful.
Bastards dumped near 24 of us off that ship. You and me were all that survived the swim. Never was much difference between exile and the death sentence. Once I catch my breath here, we'll take a look around. See what Ray class does on offer. I thought I saw smoke at those ruins up the beach. It could be worth checking if there's...
Ooh, nasty. Let's take this guy out. So this is just simple left click attacks there.
To challenge me here.
So taking out this guy gives us our first skill gem. So we'll just pick that up. Press of the I key brings up our inventory. And this new skill gem gives us the double strike attack. So within Path of Exile, your skills, your attacks, and various other sort of triggering effects and support effects get applied to your character using these skill gems. These you then need to apply to sockets on your items, so weapons and armor, and they've got associated colors. Some of the gems are only useful if they are applied linked to another gem in itself. So between two of the sockets on a piece of armor or a weapon, there'll be a little link, and you would apply the two together, and that will increase the power of those gems, allowing you to do a lot more damage or different effects. So, okay, so let's carry on our little quest. So that's our new attack, does 2 hits rather than 1. And you'll see in the bottom right hand corner here, that's draining our mana as we do that, so we might have to do some normal hits. Alternatively, over here we've got some potions, some flasks, which will charge up our mana from this one and recover our life from these two. Over time you can apply special effects to those, and you can get larger ones, and they'll have different effects, kind of make you run quicker, elemental resistances, things like that. Okay. One of the things at this stage is that I've not got any armour on. I mean, he's got his cloth clothing, but that doesn't really give me any armour. So that one hit took down quite a bit of life. I've only got 61 life. That took us down to 36 off that one hit. So we've got to be careful at this stage. But I will use health potions to keep us going. You'll see these chests dotted around where we can get some useful gear. That's giving me some gauntlets now, which will help increase my armour. We could apply some extra magic and skills to those at a later date. One of the things you'll notice there is that the loot that dropped was of a white colour. Things that are of a white colour are not that great in their base stats, but you can upgrade them to be much more powerful, so it's worth looking out for them. But what you really want are the blues and the yellows and the sort of rusty orangey ones. They're really good. So one of the things in this game is that you don't really have currency. You're not going around with money. Instead, you will be trading things which are of use. So magic items and rares and unique items can be traded in for things which you can then use to upgrade your armors and weapons. Okay, so here we got our first little boss in this area. Just going to charge up my mana, and then there we go. Thankfully he's quite slow, so we can kind of dodge him a bit. Gives us a bit of time to use our health potions and recharge our mana. Getting a little low on the mana potion now. So one of the things with this is that the potions actually sort of recharge as you kill things, but obviously with me not actually killing anything at the moment, I'm just taking on this guy. They're not recharging, so there's kind of limitations in how often I can use those. But we've got enough to see him dead. So here's what I was speaking of earlier. You can see that these ones are in a blue font, so that means they're magic items. So I'm going to pick those up because they're really good for trading. I'll take these ones as well for now because we can always sell those. They're not as valuable, but at this stage everything helps. The iron hat which we just picked up there is actually set as unidentified. You'll see that on a lot of items. That means that you can't use it at this stage. It's got sort of extra effects applied to it, and in order to see what those are, you need to use a scroll of wisdom on the item. There can be advantages to leaving things as unidentified, because when you then trade them in at a later date, you can get some different sort of currency in exchange. So it kind of depends what you want as to what you'd want to do, and also there's not much point necessarily in spending your scrolls on identifying something which you don't really want to use. But what we're going to do, we're going to take that one and we're going to identify it, because we haven't got a helmet at this stage. Unfortunately, it does require a level 2, so we can't use that just yet, but we're pretty close to leveling, so we'll see if we can push our experience over the edge to be able to wear that. And it'll also get us into the passive tree skills to discuss. There we go, so that's a level up. It is nice not to be dead yet, that's true. I think it'd be pretty disappointing if I'd already died. That wouldn't make for a good video. Although, kind of slightly entertaining, I suppose, for you guys. There we go. So, we've leveled up now. Back into the inventory, we can see that we can wear that helmet now. Looking super cool there. There'll probably be something which is better suited to us at a later date, but you know, for now, every little bit of armor helps. So that brings us into the passive skill tree. So something which could be really intimidating when you first look at it is the passive skill tree, because it applies to all the characters. So for any character you can essentially get to the point where you're taking the skills of another character, but but realistically, for certain ones like the duelist, you're not necessarily going to get right up into the skills that the witch would have. So let's go for it. So down here we've got the passive skill point available. We click on that, brings up the passive skill tree. Zoomed in, looks okay. Zoomed out, looks pretty intimidating. It's quite big. So as the duelist, we're starting down here. We've kind of got a mix of the strength and dexterity elements. So you'll see some of those dotted around, strength that way, dexterity that way. So it depends on what sort of things we want to go for as to which way along this tree we go. Each level we'll get one of these little nodes that we can upgrade, and occasionally if you do complete some of the quests, you'll also get a little book which will give you an additional skill point. So we talked about strength and dexterity down here. Right at the top is the witch's starting area, and that is all based around intellect. So there's then sort of crossover characters which fit in between, which are these sort of big round nodes. Once you've played through, I think it is to the end of Act 3, you unlock the Scion, which starts right slap bang in the middle. So that character really has got a complete balance at the start, and you can go wherever you want. That said, if you stretch yourself too thin, you'll probably struggle in some of the end game stuff. So going to take a bit of practice to be able to master a Scion. Moving on to the duelist anyway. The two options we have available are an increase in physical damage and maximum life, or an increase in attack speed and accuracy. At this stage, because we took such a big hit when we took a couple of hits from those little mob guys, I think in the additional life is probably quite valuable. We can then come down into this area, increase our attack slightly, and then over here we can get some more life, increase our armor and improve our evasion so we don't get hit. So we're probably going to go along that flow for the moment, and then see where it takes us. I don't imagine we'll get into too many of these in this session, but yeah, that's where we're going to go for now. Apply those points. Another thing to mention is throughout the game you will also occasionally accumulate refund points, and you can use these to undo some of the things that you've done within your passive skill tree. So if you do make some mistakes, you can kind of back them out a little bit, but it will be expensive. Okay, moving on. We've already been that way. Yeah. See if there's anything around to take out. Can hear somebody. Oh, it's a chest. Nothing in it. Useful. Okay, so that looks like that's probably about it. Oh, there we go. Something that you probably can't see right now is in the top right hand corner of the screen. I have a map available to me of the local area. It's quite small, but there's also the option to make it appear in the middle of the screen like that. So you've got this sort of overlay map. So I'll occasionally dot onto that so you guys can see where we're going. Here we go. So this will take us into Lion's Eye Watch. Lion Eyes Watch even. So quite often throughout the game you'll have little quests, you'll go off and do bits of them, you'll have to come back to the town. Each act has its own town. Lion Eye Watch is one of them. Within the town you'll find these waypoints, and that gives you an idea of the map for that act, and also the other acts once you're into further stages. Each of the different little maps, some of them will have waypoints in them, some of them won't. They'll appear here with like a little blue dot in the middle, and that'll allow you to fast travel around. There's also portal scrolls which you can unlock, which will allow you to get back to these areas for if you've loaded up on gear which you want to get rid of. So we've completed a quest already, so let's go and speak to the people here.
Now there's a face I never expected to see exiled. The maidens of Oriath must lie wailing in their beds now that the mighty duelist has left them. Or is that why you're here? Did you disappoint your adoring fans somehow? I'm Nessa, and I suppose I should thank you for ridding us of Hillock, that putrid giant you felled out there. Back in Orith, I disdained your kind. In Rayclast, I don't have that luxury. Thine watch isn't much, but it's ours. We could use you here, while you live. But should you wish to venture out, do just one thing for me. Out on the coast, amongst the wrecks, there must be a ship's medicine chest. I have many to care for, and there's only so much I can do with herbs and seawater.
Okay. So we've got another little quest there to go and find a medicine chest.
A dashing duelist, drenched and deserted on the dreariest strand. That's the first line of the poem I'm writing about you, Exile.
That's very kind of you.
Easy, lad. You could lacerate a bloke with a look like that. The name's Bestel, captain of the good ship Merry Gull. Alas, my Merry Gull is gone. My crew is gone. But my wits remain, after a fashion. There's an island, a hop, skip and a wade offshore of the terraces. That's where my Merry Gull ran aground. Watched the locals spit roast the ship's doctor, but his medicine chest might still be there, amongst the splinters and bones. It'd have everything Nessa might need. Dr. Shaky Hands Opton was lousy with a scalpel and even worse with a saw, but he knew his apothecary. Explains the shaky hands, if you ask me.
Probably could do with taking some more stuff from his apothecary to get rid of those shaky hands. So yeah, there you go. That's another little quest that we picked up here. These pop up down here with an exclamation mark on. We've got one of those, and you can click on that. Brings up the map screen and gives you a bit of information about it, and also kind of a little golden line with a circle around the map area where you have to get to in order to achieve that mission. I think we have one more guy to speak to around here, Tarkley.
Fine work with Hillock. Where'd you learn to fight like that? No, don't tell me.
Okay.
We exiles have no history. Dominus took it from us the moment his blackguards dumped us in the water out there. Just live or die now. Here, have one of these. And no need to thank me. I'm thinking of myself and the others here. The longer we fighters live, the longer everyone lives.
There we go. So here we've got ourselves a little reward, another skill gem. You'll find that you get a few of these from different characters throughout the course of the mission. You'll also find that some of the mobs drop them, and there's also a few vendors that will sell them to you as well, so you can expand your range of skills. Red ones generally require a bit more strength and are strength focused. The green ones requiring the dexterity, and there are blue ones which will then require the intelligence element. So let's have a look, see what we got. We've got the shrapnel shot, which fires an arrow that pierces through enemies. Arrows are fired with such force that they create a burst of lightning damage. We're not really arrow people. We don't have a bow to use, so it's not really our cup of tea. This one attacks a target with physical and fire damage, causing balls of molten magma to launch forth from your weapon as you swing. These will explode, causing AoE attack damage to enemies where they land. Well, so one of the things that I kind of talked about in terms of magic and things like that is that there's a reasonable amount of stuff which is kind of focused towards the top for that skill set. So I'm probably going to miss those out for now, and just go with the cleave. Yeah, that seems the best fit. So the character swings their weapon, or both weapons if dual wielding, so that might be good if we could get another sword, in an arc towards the target. Also does damage to other nearby monsters, so that will kind of give us an area effect / attack, which would be good when we're surrounded by people. Seems reasonable to me. We'll go with that, and we'll apply that into that socket on our sword. So one of the things we might as well do now whilst we're here is sell these items that we've picked up. Iron greaves we could actually probably do with those, so I'm going to identify them and apply them in. Yep, apply them in there. Oh, why is it? Oh, it's because I'm in the vendor screen. There we go. Try again. Magic.
Hello.
So yeah, two-handed sword. Don't really want to go two-handed. I want to go dual wield if possible. Don't need a wand. And don't need a simple robe, so we'll get rid of those. You'll see here we're getting some scroll fragments and transmutation shards. These are small elements of more powerful items, I suppose. So the scroll fragments, once you've got 5 of those, will become a scroll of wisdom. The transmutation shards, once we've got 20 of those, it becomes an orb of transmutation, which will allow us to change the effects on an object. So useful things to have in our stash. Speaking of stash, within towns there are these chests, the stash chests. Within there you can drop off any items, armor, the scrolls of wisdom, all sorts of different things. You can put them in there and they'll stay. It's kind of like your little base for keeping things. So moving on into the story then. So the cleave just applied to my middle click there, which I don't really like that much. So I'm just going to remap that. So that's on my W key now.
That's soon enough.
I know. And we'll move on. Here we go, the next area.
Not the most pleasant of arenas, but it'll have to do for now.
So, let's take these guys out first. So throughout the map you'll sometimes see, throughout the game you'll sometimes see these sort of things across the maps, where the carvings, various other little items which you can kind of click on, and it'll give you a little story.
Struck this sand with the force of destiny. At his back, the greatest.
For the purpose of this video though, I'm not going to go through them all, because otherwise we're going to sit listening to a lot of story, but it's just a little bit of information about what's in it, and there's actually a lot of depth to the lore behind it all, so it could be quite interesting if you've got the time to kind of listen to all those, or read them if you're not using sound. There's that new attack taking on all of those at the same time there, pretty useful. Let's just buff our mana and health.
My spirit is spent.
So much like the character, we can also level up our gems. So there was a little flash of light around my character then, and over here you'll see that we can level up our cleave gem. Something which does sometimes actually become a factor in this game is running away a little bit, because you end up with lots of guys on you like that. You need to heal or get more mana or whatever, so sometimes yeah, you do need to back up a little bit. And this character is a speed based character, so he's going to be slightly squishy in terms of his health, but we can kind of dodge in and out around in order to take on the associated enemies. As we get into it a bit more, there'll be actually a few more skills which we could apply to this character, which will increase his movement speed and also do sort of attacks at the same time. Throughout the game you'll also potentially find that there's these league stones dropping. They allow you to add additional effects onto a map, so this particular one will give will make a shrine in the next area that we go to if we use it. So those sort of things can be useful for sort of leveling up, for increased loot drops and stuff like that. So worth keeping an eye out for and applying at the appropriate time. You do also have to be careful, because if you go into quite a tough area and you apply one of those, you may end up coming up against things like twinned enemies and stuff like that, so you might increase the number of enemies you're up against, and that might not be feasible for your character at that stage. Low on mana there. So I need to get a load of kills off me go now because my mana is very low. I mean, it's kind of a strange one in some ways that hitting someone with a sword twice requires mana, but I guess it's a magical attack somehow. There we go, so we've leveled up to level 3. We also did pick up there a magma orb skill gem. So this is an intellect based one. Probably not suitable for our character, but in these sort of situations you can actually kind of take those back, stick them in your stash, and your stash can be shared across your characters. So if you then go and create yourself a witch or whatever, you can then go and use the magma orb. So they're worth holding on to those. There we go. Moving on. Well, I should probably update my skills as well. So when we get a second, just pull back a little bit here out into a safe area. There we go. Oh, we have witch somewhere. Let's come over here and we'll apply our next skill. So we're going to come down into this area here and increase our physical attack damage. So one of the things that we know about the mission that we've got here is that we're travelling to the tidal island, so you know, safe to say that we're going to have to go towards the coast in order to get there. Check out what we got. So we found another rusted sword here, so if we take that we can apply that to our offhand and we can now dual wield. Useful. We can also take this small life flask and it gives us another life flask down here. That'll top up when we start killing things. Okay, so here we go. So on the map and on the screen now as well, you can see a waypoint. It's currently not active. If I click on it, now it's active, so that would allow us to travel back to the town from there. Also on the map now you can see this kind of orange bit. That's an entrance or an exit for a map. So based on the overall map, we know that the tidal island is out to the right off the coast, so it's probably where we're going to have to go. Okay, tidal island. So our quest has changed now, so it says find the medicine chest. So now that we're in Tidal Island, we've got the specifics of what we need to do. So let's have a look around. Keep your eyes peeled for a medicine chest. Oh, so much nicer having that dual wield up. Does a lot of damage. Let's recover our mana slightly. You
My spirit is spent.
Can die, sir. Let's update that. There we go. I love the sounds they make. Ooh. Tide Striders. No challenge for me at the minute. Let's just top those bits up. There we go. So another element of your armor, the coral amulet. Grab that. That will now appear around our neck there. I don't know whether you can see it on the character, to be fair, but yeah. There we go. So those transmutation shards we were picking up earlier would create one of these orb of transmutations. So we definitely want to take that. It's a good bit of currency. There we go. Progressing well. In the same way, scroll of wisdom there. Excellent. That's a lot of bodies. So one of the skills that you can get for your character is to explode corpses. So if somebody had an explode corpse right now, that would do quite a bit of damage. Okay, there's another one of those carvings where you can get a bit more story. Make sure we don't get surrounded. Another level up. We'll save that for the minute though. There we go. No medicine chest yet though. Might as well do our skill point now. So coming into here, we're going to go for armor, evasion, and life. All three things that are going to be pretty useful for this character. So we'll apply that. Move on. Just check out if this corpse has got anything. Rusted hatchet. Nah. Lots of enemies, including someone with some cold magic powers. Let's just keep pulling back a little bit, and then we'll move forwards. We'll get past him, take out anybody else. There we go. Let's face tank him a little bit, update our mana so that we can have another crack, and go again. Down to a one-on-one now, and he's running away. There we go, we got him. Magic, there's the medicine chest. So our special quest item appears in green here, the medicine chest. We can grab that. We'll also take the wool gloves and the scale vest as their magic items. Looking down, we'll take the flask, always worth kind of picking those up at the minute. And the rest, actually I'll take the greaves just so that we can play around with that in a few minutes. And that's it for now. We better update that. Pick up the scroll of wisdom. Take this cannibal out. Ooh, corroded blade. You can sell that one. Ooh, a few. Just pull out the middle of that a little bit. Update our gem. That's that. A few more to deal with. So we kind of work it. I mean, this is Tuttle Island. We're working around the edge of the island. We're working our way back to that starting point. So you know, travel to the Lion Eyes Watch. So go back to the coast. On the coast, we had that waypoint just over here, so we can get to that and travel to the town. There we go, we're in town, so let's go and finish off that quest with Nessa.
A medicine chest. This means more to us than you can know. There are some who wouldn't have lasted the night without it. Take this. In return for the knowledge that one can do more than suffer in Raycast. You and Tartry, you give us something better than serums and Sol. You give us hope.
So coming into this realm, we have provided a new hope for these people, so we're going to keep committed to that and see if we can help them out. So for doing that, we're being given some more flasks. We actually just picked up a medium life flask, so the medium life flask we don't really need. We've also got a lot of the smaller ones. Medium mana flask, that might be quite useful because we were using up a lot of mana in some of those attacks, so we probably could do with 2 flasks at the moment. Whilst I'm here, I suppose I could just say that the final one there is a Quicksilver flask, which will increase our movement speed. Something that's probably quite useful later on, but right now I think we're doing okay for speed, so we'll just take this one, and we'll go and apply that in there. Speak to this guy soon.
You managed to salvage Shaky Hand's druggery. Nicely done. Nessa will put it to good use. More than that benumbed quack Optin ever did.
There we go. So that's that one done. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Nessa and we're going to sell some more bits. Scale Vest is actually greater armor than what we've got on, so we probably want to keep that. And it's also a magic item, so it's going to be better than the plate vest that we've got on. Two-handed swords we don't want. Iron Greaves, we're going to hold on to those so that we could show you a bit of how some of the functions work. Medium life flask, we will keep them, we'll get rid of one of the small ones. There we go. We'll get rid of that small life flask. Wool gloves not really appropriate for this character, so we'll get rid of those. Iron gauntlets, we've already got a set of those on, so we'll get rid of that one. Driftwood wand. Yeah, that's that for the moment. So what we're going to do is use the Scroll of Wisdom on this Scale Vest. That now tells us that we've got 1.7 life regenerated per second, and it will also reflect 4 physical damage to melee attackers, so that's pretty useful. So we'll put that on instead of the plate vest. The Iron Greaves, so what I want to show you with the Iron Greaves is that Orb of Transmutation that we picked up earlier. We can actually apply that onto that, and it will give it effects in the same way that this this chest piece has. So if we use the Orb of Transmutation on the Iron Greaves, it now becomes the Healthy Iron Greaves of the Newt, which will increase our maximum life by 12 and also a 1.6 life regeneration per second. So that's pretty useful. So instead of having the Iron Greaves as the Brute, which increases our strength, we'll use those. So there's a bit of a balancing act in terms of making sure that you've got enough life, enough strength, enough dexterity, elemental resistances. There are a lot of factors which can affect and that you affect your armor, affect your character, and that you can also apply to these elements, as well as different skill gems which you can use to increase the damage done with your attacks. Increasing the elemental effects, and various other bits and pieces. So there's lots of customizability for your character. So yeah, that's that. So we'll just go and finish by speaking to Tarkley, so you get an idea of what's coming next.
Rise up after death the same as people do here. So if they aren't raising themselves, what's doing it for them? The answer's in that fetid pool near the mudflats. I know the place stinks to high heaven, but so does the idea of a flock of overactive bird carcasses hungry for a bit of living meat. Clear the place out and deal to whatever's raising those birds, and we'd be in your debt.
There we go. So that's given us another quest. On the map/quest screen, you'll see here on the left hand side we've got our active one that we just got there from Tarkley, and the 2 here are the ones that we just completed. They're all greyed out. Tarkley's one sends us a couple of maps along, so that's something for us to look forward to in another session maybe, because we're kind of up on time in this one. But if you guys liked it, if you're interested in seeing where this journey goes, we can carry on that story. If not, we can go on to some other free-to-play areas. There are a lot of free-to-play games out there at the minute. It's becoming quite a popular thing. So yeah, we'll cover off another game next Friday, and we may throw a few sessions in with this over the coming weeks, to see how it goes. But thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed seeing how the early stage of Path of Exile plays through. Give you an idea of some of the the complexities of the game and the options you have available to you. Let me know what you think. Thumbs up please, subs if you really liked it, and hopefully we'll see you again next week. Bye bye.